It's Dakota from Band Banta, and I'm joined by Adelaide rock legends, Bad Dreems. Guys, how are you going today?
Just came from work, so I'm feeling a little tired, but pretty good.
Yeah, likewise.
Likewise.
Here at the uni, it's beautiful. The ground's
Yes,
here. Lovely.
yeah. We're at Adelaide Uni today, filming on Ghanaland. Very exciting because this is where your new festival, Gather Sounds, is going to be, which we'll get into in a little bit. But excitingly, you guys are releasing your 5th studio album. It's titled Ultra Dundee. Like the majority of your music, this is more than just a record. It's a story, and this record follows the character of Ultra Dundee. Can you guys talk us through the creation of this character?
Yeah, it's funny to hear it put into words like that, that it is a character, because it makes it sound like it was deliberately done that way, which I guess in many ways it kind of was, but it was just a phrase that I'd seen or come up with early days and presented it to Alex, and it sort of was something that he liked. And in my mind, Ultra Dundee was the embodiment of all of the sort of the characters that we've sung about and tried to explore over the years, over 15 years of being in a band. Yeah, so we kind of had the name Ultra Dundee for the album before we'd penned most of the music.
Right.
But I'll let Alex speak on behalf of his perception of what Ultra Dundee meant. But yeah, from my perspective, it was he is the character, he's the man behind the songs in many variations.
Yeah, when Ben mentioned the phrase Ultra Dundee, I liked it, and straight away I said, that should be the album title. But for whatever reason, I missed the obvious reference to it being a character.
Yeah.
And I envisioned a sort of outback scene, almost something like maybe Ultra Kakadu, like if you're looking at the vibrant colours of the outback or somewhere like Kakadu on mushrooms. And so that was what I had in my head, which was something to make something a bit more expansive and a bit more perhaps atmospheric, and try to convey space a bit more than what we'd done in previous albums. And then when it came to putting the album together and Ben and I were chatting about the lyrical themes and everything, I realised he'd been thinking of Ultra Dundee as a character.
Yeah.
But it worked really well. I think both things apply. Yeah, I mean, it's not a concept album by any means, but certainly one thing we do in our music is explore the character of Australia and often Australian men and masculinity, so it works on a number of levels.
Yeah, I guess it's like the personification of your songs and your lyrics just through this character in a way, but also having it as a landscape too. You've kind of created this whole scene and whole story if you tie in both aspects together, right? Yeah,
I think a lot of great Australian music that we like is about journeys. If you think of Midnight Oil or the Triffids and albums like that, it's really hard not to think about driving.
Yeah, true.
And driving through great expanses and landscapes. Yeah, I guess we formed the idea of a journey of sorts from the confines of the places where we live, which is the cities and the towns, into the vast unknown of the interior of the country. And it probably is a bit referenced in a way to our reference from the trip that we did through Arnhem Land.
Okay, yeah.
So in 2023, we did a tour put together by our friend Jack Parsons through Arnhem. Yeah. And that was really travelling into a foreign country, which is quite interesting really, to feel like you're in a foreign country within your own country. Yeah. Foreign languages, foreign weather, foreign surroundings. And so I think it's quite confronting, and you can discover a lot about yourself, but also about the country. We've discovered a lot about the country that we live in that we realised we didn't know.
It's really interesting, and I think it's great that you're able to tie in and reflect on all these experiences and journeys, as you said, into songs, and to make it accessible to people as well. Yeah,
well, I think our lives are pretty boring day to day, like going to work, and so you're always wanting to write about things that are inspiring to you personally and as a group.
Absolutely. And so when you break through the surface of, I guess, I had it as Ultra Dundee character, but the landscape, what would you or who would you find?
Oh gosh, it's a very good question. I think you find the many different iterations of the Australian male that we see in everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Whether it's the meth head rampaging through Rundle Mall.
Yeah.
The, for lack of a better phrase, fuckboy from the football club.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but certain parts of ourselves are within the character, or of myself are within the character. The things we see, the things we feel that are right and wrong with how men behave within Australia is something that we have always chosen to explore. So I think, you know, all of the rudiments of those characters that, you know, make up the contemporary Australian male are present in each of the songs.
Yeah.
There's a song on the album called Shadowland, and that was very much inspired by driving from I was living in Bendigo, Central Victoria, and driving back to Adelaide over the years, and you pass through all this land which is very much gridded farming land.
Yeah.
And you can't help, or I couldn't help but always think about what did this actually look like before white people came here. And it's really, you sort of get some idea, but it's really quite hard to imagine. And then in terms of landscapes, we live in a very like cultivated and manicured version of a country that's, you know, as ancient as time itself.
Rich in history.
And there's a 60,000+ year history of humans here.
Yeah.
But we've kind of just plastered over that, and we're able to, a lot of Australia and a lot of Australian history is able to exist without really thinking about all the rest of that 60,000 years. I mean, for example, I like to walk around here a lot, and over the other side of the river there was where there was a Kaurna school when Adelaide was first. So the Kaurna people kind of ended up mainly camping around that place over there near Jolly's Boathouse, and there was a school there where it was actually taught in Kaurna language. Wow. And that's only, but within 100 years, every trace of that kind of is lost.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of our music in general is trying to get beneath the surface of things, whether it's the surface of your mundane day-to-day life, the surface of what's put on mainstream media every day and served up to us, and trying to find something more interesting. And like, certainly when we write about Adelaide, it's easy to be just living day to day with these beautiful leafy versions of some type of England, but really underneath that there's a lot more interesting, grimy, confronting things that are going on. And same with Australia itself. There's so much more than what we tend to portray ourselves as, which is these tropes of, war heroes and, Australia Day, some sort of agricultural history. Yeah. Like there's so many more stories even in the time since colonisation, but obviously vaster than that. And that's Shadowland is a song about feeling the echoes of those stories and trying to like connect with them.
Yeah. I think songs and lyrics and music is a great way to share stories, especially have conversations that people might find hard or confronting. So putting it into an album, it must have been, was it taxing at all? Like to be going over these? I mean, putting an album together is taxing, but finding a way to convey these stories and put these stories into lyrics and songs that people are going to resonate with and listen to and absorb the actual meaning of the songs. How did you find that?
That's a good question. I think it can become taxing if you are really trying to convey a particular message or idea, but a lot of the lyrical content that we put forward is based in our own subconscious, so it's something that's flowing out. And only in retrospect sometimes can you realise, that's maybe what that song was about.
Yeah.
But the process of putting together an album, is extremely taxing.
A process of an album is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do, to touch on that, you do settle on lyrics that you don't quite understand at times.
Okay.
Which I found in some of the songs, like, they totally made sense when I saw the film clip for them.
Yeah.
That imagery behind the words, it's some these are songs that, for instance, the song that Alex wrote called Irish Airman was one from about 5 years ago, and I'd always just loved the song and the lyrics but never thought too deeply about what they meant. They were just great sort of motifs of society and the modern culture, but that one's actually about roughly based on a poem, isn't it?
It's based on a poem, but I don't really still have a meaning for that song specifically. It's more of I don't really have encapsulated meaning for it.
But after hearing the album in full, many times after you listen to the masters and then you get the test pressings and you're forced to listen to your own voice, there is an undercurrent of, what I would call like generational storytelling within the characters as well. It's not all one singular man. There are, it's intertwined with like family history of a certain character in certain points in time. You hear that in the song Night Shooting as well.
Yeah, and I guess the songs aren't all based in one time period either, like different generations and different experiences and different historical moments throughout Australian history, right?
Sometimes, some of it, yeah. But, I mean, the album starts kind of in 1985 with the guy in the car leaving Adelaide.
Okay.
Which was also an accident, and it only became apparent when we're like, well, this should kick off the album because it does, tie in the rest of the songs and the progression of how the character develops throughout. He's driving around, he's name checking Jolly's Boathouse, spending the night at Scotty's. So there is that, yeah. Yeah,
there is that aspect. As you mentioned, you've got the music videos. There's going to be 4 of them. They're going to be turned into a short film, which is really cool. How do these videos help create the world of Ultra Dundee? You kind of talked about it already. I feel like you maybe had a sneak peek, but
no, I didn't. No. I was looking over here. Well, Camo might have more to say on this, but this was a concept that was developed by our good friend and long-time friend Caius Potter, a filmmaker from New South Wales, and he'd been sitting on a pitch that he wanted to send to us for a really long time. We tried to hook up in the past to make art together. Yeah. But this came at a perfect timing. These guys, the people that work in film in Australia, they don't necessarily always get budgets, and they don't get the time and to flex their creative muscles. They're often, working on ad campaigns for big corporate companies. Yeah. So when they're in their downtime, they do things for bands like us on the cheap because they're passionate about it. And Caius had a concept, and he's someone that has always really understood exactly what we're doing. Yeah. Not a lot of people do, but he wanted to do a short film. We sort of finally got to the point where we said, okay, we'll do 4 singles, and then we'll create a short film out of that with dialogue and whatnot. We went out to Port Wakefield and Port Pirie and spent 5 days out there shooting with a bunch of different people in different locations, and it was something I've always wanted to do, is try and act in something. And I got my 15 minutes to see if I can act. We'll see if jury's out on that one, but he's done a phenomenal job on pulling it together with not much of a budget. Yeah. Say anything about the clips?
I mean, it was great to it with Caius, and Ben is a very talented actor, so it was great to, as we've gone on, all the clips are just like, oh, Ben can just do them. Yeah. And Ben sort of was involved in the making of that. And it was the great thing working with Caius. Often when you have to bring in other creatives, it can sometimes be quite stressful to try and get them to understand what you're doing.
Be on the same page.
But with Caius, as soon as he just presented the idea, and it was like, you actually understand what we're talking about.
See the vision.
But also, obviously, it's coming from his interpretation, so that was quite exciting and refreshing to be able to do something like that. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, in music you have to do stuff like art and video clips but that's not really our milieu, so it can be stressful because you're doing something that's representing your music and quite tied to it, but you don't really have control over it.
Right, yeah.
So it's been great to do that, and the clips and the film are really cool.
Yeah, the clips that have come out already are phenomenal.
And even it was so interesting that he chose the particular places he chose to film off his own. I don't know if Ben had input into it as well, but the places that were chosen were like really key to my early memories, because I grew up on the York Peninsula and driving that road that then becomes Port Wakefield Road.
Oh yeah.
And so we did stuff at the Lower Light, we did stuff at Port Wakefield, and it was so interesting. And that particular part of Adelaide where the city fades out into the country, the fringes, has always been like kind of a real inspiration for like Bad Dreams. And even when we did our very first clips, we went and filmed them out in that area. Like the Flip for Caroline is out there, and even some other times we'd just go out and hang out there sometimes, like in that sort of, the same with the old Port Adelaide area. So it was quite interesting that he chose that himself.
I guess a bit of a full circle moment for you guys. You're here.
Well, yeah, it was.
And such a big album.
The album itself was a bit full circle because we made it we was returning back to Adelaide. It was all made in Adelaide and kind of written in Adelaide as well. So, yeah, it's a nice circuitous, nice symmetry.
Yeah.
The locations were scouted by a great local producer called Emily Dawes for the record, which is great.
Awesome. And what do you hope listeners take away from this album or feel from this album? I mean, we all get something different from music, don't we?
I hate when people use this word, but I can't think of any other way to say it right now, but genuine, like, catharsis.
Yeah.
It really does feel like a good ending point, not forever, but for now, of this specific body of work, of this era of the band. It feels like, even like down to the last song on the album and what it represents for me anyway, the character making his way to the afterlife. The song's called Afterlife. Yeah. The spiritual journey of whatever we've done over a 15-year period really feels like it's a nice way to round it off, and we can now, take some time to reflect on what we've done and enjoy being with our families and friends and have to go to fucking work. I love where I work.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Yeah.
I think that's right, and I think with any music, it's just you want people to be interested in it. Someone asked a similar thing the other day, and I guess if even one person is inspired to explore their own creativity by something we do, that would be the ultimate goal, because that's how we got started in music, by seeing another band, and usually it's a band that you can see up in person. There was a band here when we were growing up, Special Patrol, and then other bands I saw playing in Melbourne, like Eddie Current, and then being inspired to be like, oh, actually I feel so, that touches something inside me that's so powerful that I am compelled to go and try and do something myself. And if that was ever, who knows if that, you'll never really know if that happens or not, but that's kind of what I'd like.
Yeah, being able to spark the next generation of Australian musicians.
Yeah,
I was going to say hand on the torch as well, but
it doesn't even have to be music,
torch,
even if it's any form of creativity, because it's that's added so much to our lives.
To touch on that, I did listen to your interview that you did with the Daybed guys as well, and they're a prime example of people who are doing things within a local scene who are just, they do it for the passion, they don't do it for the money. It takes them a year to organise that festival. They've literally learnt as they went how to deal with industry. They've seen how exciting it can be. They've seen how fucked it can be.
How scary it can be.
And then, people like yourself who you saw a gap where people weren't interviewing or trying to seek out the stories of local artists, and you bought a camera and some mics and you're deciding to do it, and now you're 2 years in. Those things are really important for local scenes that weren't necessarily... We had zines and stuff in Adelaide at the moment, but there was when we were coming up, but the scene was very insular and brattish in many regards, and it certainly wasn't as healthy as you would have seen in the likes of Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane at the time, and around that time Perth as well. But it's just really important that young people just go for it. Don't look back.
Anything that's good that happens starts like that. It doesn't start by, in my opinion, it doesn't start by people going to music schools or some sort of industry training or, industry starting something. It actually happens just from people doing things they're passionate about.
Passion and spontaneity, I think. A pretty good recipe for creation and community. Yeah, absolutely. Now, briefly touched on it before, it's no secret that Bad Dreams don't shy away from incorporating all aspects of Australian life. And that includes some themes that people would often say are uncomfortable to talk about. As a songwriter, how does it feel putting these into Bad Dream songs, and why do you think it's important to talk about these aspects of the Australian life?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I guess we probably don't think about ourselves as doing that. But then you look back, and there are those sort of songs all throughout the discography, and I don't know. To be honest, like it's because I'm not a big fan of overtly political music. Although I mean, but it's more. I think anything that encourages people to think and question is good. But I don't. Yeah, and I don't know, that somehow has seeped in, maybe feeling that we have a voice that people listen to, and so feeling compelled to talk about what's on our minds. But yeah, I know, I mean, there was one song, Jack, I guess, on the last album where that was maybe more of a conscious decision to speak quite frankly about a particular issue, and that being the lack of truth-telling about our treatment of Aboriginal people and the history of white Australia. But aside from that, it's kind of like just, I don't know, maybe you've got a better answer to that.
I think for me it's pretty simple, and we've spoken about this before in interviews, but I think a lot of the process was about unlearning a lot of behaviour that you adopt as a young man growing up in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, we met at a football club. I spent majority of my youth and early adulthood in and around football clubs with not a single woman present. And when you go and join the music industry and you see there's a big world out there with that, you know, the environments aren't like that, you realise that you've kind of copped a bum steer in many ways. So I think seeking out a way to do better in a way, or, you know, work it out yourself is that was certainly present in my mind early doors. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's sort of like that's where it would have started, I feel.
And then it's not like as much as you sitting down and going, I want to write about this in particular. It's kind of a subconscious thing that happens over time.
I think that, I mean, there's a lot of, especially maybe 5 to 10 years ago, there's a lot of things that would like make me angry about power imbalances or hypocrisy, and I think that naturally just comes out when you're playing loud music that's cathartic. But it's never been about trying to tell people the answer to these things. It's more about trying to make people think and pointing out the absurdity,
discourse.
Create discourse, pointing out things that are absurd or that need to be questioned or need to be spoken aloud.
I think that's important, and sometimes hearing it through music and hearing it from people you like listening to, or someone that you look up to, can maybe be easier to digest it.
Well, I think it was pretty ironic early, you know, our live show was like, we're like kind of 5 big guys. Like I was probably a shearer in a past life. And you know, when you're pairing that, like the physicality of a live show and like loud rock music, as Alex said, with, you know, more thoughtful lyricism, then that was something that we were drawn to and that people were drawn to early days as well.
For sure, absolutely. So you'll be heading on tour in April. What excites you both most about performing this album live?
Nothing. I'm terrified. It's going to be a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, from my perspective, a lot of that, my favourite part of doing creative things is the time spent creating it and writing it and recording it. I do love playing live when I'm on stage, but all of the things that surround it can be very stressful, especially when you hit your mid-30s and you got 2 kids screaming over the phone from a different state. But we'll get through it, and I am excited to just see the crowds again and finish it off nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I think, second what Ben said, a lot of the stuff to prepare for a tour and make it happen as a self-managed and self-run band is a real pain in the ass, which we're really sick of. But you can't beat the connection with the fans, and we've been lucky to have really loyal and passionate fans. And it's only when you play your own headline shows really that you feel the extent of that.
The raw
like we have a band of
connection,
our size, it's not like we're getting stopped in the street ever, and you can kind of forget that people you don't even know whether people are listening until often you go and play a show and then you're like, I actually don't know any of these people, but they seem to know me.
They're singing along.
And they're singing,
they're singing along with me, like no lyrics off by heart.
The thrill of that never really goes away.
Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine that. It would
But
be
fuck,
pretty surreal, especially.
I don't know, 7 sound checks. That's enough to put a man off his dinner.
Yeah, fair enough. You've recently announced Gather Sounds Festival, and on night one of the event, you'll be officially launching this album. Do you have anything special in store for this album launch?
Well, we're playing with West Theberton, who are a band that's closely connected to us and been around nearly as long as we have.
Yep.
Very great band, and so that's going to be great. And special, the special thing probably is the next day when we've put on a bit of a festival.
Yeah, very cool.
About 15 odd bands playing, including our friend Phil Jamison from Grinspoon, the Betty Rays, Dr. Piffle and the Burlap Band, an amazing local act, and plenty more. And we're doing it here at the university, which is an awesome spot to do it. And in fact, about 4 or 5 years ago, we did a festival here to raise money for the fires.
Really?
And that was with Pond and Hayley Mary and Tim Rogers, and that was really cool too. So it's going to be fun.
That's awesome. Very exciting. Why did creating Gather Sounds feel right for Bad Dreams at this point in time?
Just to try and sell tickets while there was plenty of people in town. No, but I mean, it made sense because, like we talked about Daybed, there aren't a lot of opportunities, sort of festivals for independent type music, and it was found a bit frustrating over the years to see the AFL put on this huge thing and then there's never any local music really put forward with
I
it.
feel that.
So we thought we'd do it ourselves. And football and music, they are interesting bedfellows, but for us it sort of reflects our history.
You've mentioned the footy club.
We grew up playing football. We met at a football club, and I think it's always good to try and put forward the side of football that isn't the sheeny corporate side of the AFL, which can sometimes be a bit on the nose. Sorry, the AFL might cancel our festival after hearing this. But we love football, and I think it's sometimes good to show that football can actually go hand in hand with good music and good art.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
No, I'm a big believer in that the grand final should have a pretty big Aussie headline act, or at least more local acts.
Well, and I think the football that I like to get involved in, we watch the AFL, but I really like local football clubs, country football clubs, which is a side of football that I grew up around, and so I guess there's a bit of a similarity to music communities because there's a place for everyone at a good football club. Everyone's looked after, and there's a real togetherness, which is the same thing you can get from a music festival. Yeah,
it goes hand in hand. The community aspect of it all seems to tie in really nicely. So as you mentioned, you've got some interstate acts coming along, but you've also got a plethora of local acts. Why do you think it's important to platform local South Australian acts at events like this?
It would have been pretty wrong if we didn't. Yeah. We would have loved to have added way more.
Yeah.
But, there's a certain amount of slots we can fill through a day. We're going to try and add a few more. But that's why we really want to focus on having like an SA bent to the first night, SA bands only. There's a great young up-and-coming band called John Ann that are going to be playing.
I love John Ann, they're
John Ann
sick.
are sick. Empty Threats are playing.
Yeah.
A Placement playing on the Friday night?
Oh, not Friday.
We've got some great SA bands on the Saturday as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, we can't, Carlton Park. Yeah, Bindy's doing some amazing things. Yeah. Really digging his social media.
His social media today was fantastic.
If he doesn't get a gig in some sort of Hollywood movie in the next 6 years, I'll be very surprised. But, for obvious reasons, you have to support local. You always should.
Yeah.
And it's a great place for people to start in any type of musical endeavour, whether that's just wanting to support and follow music, or whether it's starting a band yourself, or wanting to get into the music industry, book bands, potentially manage one day. Yeah, your local venue's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah, and You're doing it out front of Unibar, but I guess it's technically at a local venue, isn't it?
Well, there'll be a dual stage on day 2,
cool.
so I think we'll go inside, outside, inside, outside. That'll be the
Awesome.
scenario.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're having it at a pretty awesome and big venue for local music, so that's fantastic, and platforming local music, so it ticks all the boxes, I think.
Nice. You're more than welcome to come and cover the event and get you a bunch of tickets.
That'd be amazing. I'll see you there.
Brilliant.
Thank you guys very much for coming and catching up on a Wednesday evening after work. Really appreciate it. Ultra Dundee is coming out on the 20th of March and their tour kicks off in April, kicking it off with Gather Sounds, which is very exciting. If you haven't got tickets for that, definitely check it out. And then if you're from interstate, also check out the other dates as well.